Hola Seekers, this is Kim and bienvenidos to another timeless reading. So before I get into what this reading is all about, I do want to share that the topic of this reading was thought of and requested by a viewer. So if you're here, if you're watching, thank you so much for your request. So in this reading, we are going to look into what is it that your inner child is currently struggling with and receive some advice and guidance on how to best assist your inner child. So there will be 3 different segments to this reading. In the first segment, I will share with you what I intuitively picked up on when connecting with the energy of your group. In the second segment, we will look at 3 different things. We will first take a look at what the true essence of your inner child is, and this is to help us connect more with your inner child, get to know them a little bit more. I will then pull out a set of 2 cards to find out what is it that your inner child is currently struggling with. And lastly, I will pull out another set of 2 cards to receive some advice and guidance on how to best assist your inner child with what they are currently struggling with. And then I will move on to the third and final segment of your reading, where I will offer space for you to receive a direct message from your inner child. Okay, but now that I have shared with you everything that we are going to cover in this reading, it is time to choose your group. So there are 3 different groups to choose from. Each group is represented by a doodle drawn by yours truly. So starting off, for group 1, we have this doodle of a spiral in the stars. For group 2 is a doodle of a rainbow in the stars. And for group 3 is a doodle of a rocket in the stars. So apparently I have a fascination for stars because there are stars in every doodle. But as always, take as much time as you need to choose your group. You can pause the video if you need more time. And once you have chosen your doodle and or group, then head on over to the comment section or the description box down below where the timestamps are provided so that you can skip right on over to your reading. Okay? Let's get right into your messages. Let's go! Hola Seekers who chose group 1, the Swirly and the Stars, bienvenidos to your reading. If you are interested to know how this reading is going to unfold, then I do recommend for you to listen to the intro if you haven't done so already, because it is there where I go over everything we are going to cover in this reading. Okay, but before I pull out any cards, I am going to share with you what I intuitively picked up on when connecting with the energy of this group, because a few messages did come to mind. So the first message that came to mind very clearly was starting here. And the second message was we are in the moment. So I do feel like your inner child is trying to convey through these messages that the point of creation is right here and now. The point of creation is you. So where you choose to direct your focus is super important because it will guide your next step. So no matter where you are in your journey, no matter what you are experiencing, you can change the direction things are heading by you redirecting your focus. So in other words, change doesn't happen further along the road. It doesn't happen overnight. Change occurs in the moment. One step in a different direction is you creating change. A shift in focus is you creating change. So you decide what kind of change you want to experience. And you choose your experiences through what you primarily focus on, because you are a creator. The image that you were called to, I believe, is often used as a symbol of creation. And what I'm sensing from the image, it's like an unfurling, an unfoldment of an idea, a vision, a feeling, an emotion, a dream. So you are creating as you go. Your path, your journey, your future, it is unfolding right in front of you. Now, with the message we are in the moment, I feel like that is your inner child's way of saying, we are with you at all times. Yet it is true that you can feel us the most strongly when you are in the moment with us. Meaning whenever you are rejoicing in something, whenever you are fully in the present, appreciating, feeling joy, that is when we feel the closest to you and you to us. So it is in the moment where life and creation occurs. Okay, but now I'm going to move into the cards. So I will start off by pulling out a tarot card to get a better idea as to what the true essence of your inner child is. And this is with the intention of getting to know your inner child a bit more, find out what they are all about so that we have a clear idea as to what they are not about. Okay, so let's see for group 1. Okay, so we have the 8 of Wands in reverse. So the 8 of Wands, when it is upright, it denotes a fast-moving energy. So with this card showing up in reverse, I feel like your inner child is not in any rush or in any hurry to get anywhere or be anywhere. This is an energy that appreciates the journey more than the destination, because they know and acknowledge that it is the journey that truly delivers. The destination is the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top. It's sweet, it's delicious, it's gratifying, but what truly fills one up, what is truly fulfilling, it's all that builds up to that icing or to that cherry on top. Like, your inner child gets that. They truly get it. There's no doubt about it. There's no questioning how valuable the journey is and how fulfilling it is if one allows themselves to experience it. And to experience it how they were meant to, which is without resistance. And I feel like what your inner child perceives as resistance is anything that sucks the fun or joy out of the experience. So these could be mindsets, beliefs that are very limited, constrictive, and conditional. Because the 8 of Wands upright gives off this feeling of everything going smoothly, of there being no hiccups, hesitation, delays, or resistance. So with the 8 of Wands showing up in reverse, I feel like this is giving us a sneak peek into what your inner child might be struggling with at the moment, which is needing to prove oneself, beliefs of deserving, ideas of sacrifice or effort, struggle. I know this is the 8 of Wands, but for whatever reason, I'm being reminded of the 8 of Pentacles. So when the 8 of Pentacles shows up in reverse, it's a very unbalanced energy. It signifies overworking oneself. It signifies putting more effort and more action into something because there is a desire or there is a need or there is a belief that something needs to be proven, that the outcome needs to be won, that it needs to be deserved. So I feel like the true essence of your inner child is one of flow, is one of ease. I know this might sound very silly, but the true essence of your inner child feels very much like the go-lucky fella, like the chill person, the one that has no worry, no concern, and has no problem being at the right place at the right time. The idea of struggle and sacrifice does not align with your inner child, because that aligns with the belief that one needs to prove something. One needs to be deserving of that which they want before they get it. And your inner child knows that they are already deserving. So the suffering, the sacrifice, the overworking oneself doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary. So your inner child is pretty chill, but it's not from a place of not caring or not understanding reality, because your inner child is a part of you. So they know what's going on. Yet they have this insight, they have this inner knowing of their true value and of their true potential. You know, the shape of the number 8 looks very much like the shape of an infinity symbol. And what infinity symbols remind me of is infinite potential. And actually, the infinity symbol always appears in the magician card of the deck. So your inner child knows that they are creators, that they are limitless beings. So they understand that what they believe in other words, what they choose to focus on consistently, is what they will give power to. So if there is a belief of sacrifice, if there is a belief that it needs to be difficult, that one needs to struggle, that pain and suffering needs to be involved for something to be worthy or for one to merit that which they desire, then that is the experience one is going to live. And if that is the programming you are adhering to at this moment, then that is what your inner child is struggling with, because they don't align with that. And it's difficult for them to come through if and when present you, consciously aware you, is aligning with that belief or mindset, because that is very limiting. And your inner child doesn't want to, nor is willing to, limit themselves in any way. One thing that wants to be pointed out is that your inner child isn't wounded. Your inner child isn't broken. Your inner child is like the purest aspect of you. You can see your inner child as being the closest connection to your inner being, or your higher self, however you want to call it, to source. And so there's nothing wrong with your inner child. What makes it feel like there is possibly an inner child wound or something wrong with the inner child is the disconnect we feel with our inner child, the dissonance. And that normally tends to happen when we are aligning with certain beliefs, mindsets, feelings that do not align with our inner child. So the more that we resist what our inner child knows, the more we will feel that disconnect or that dissonance. And it can feel very easy to feel that disconnect with our inner child, because our inner child is mostly about play, fun, and joy, seeing the opportunities, being imaginative, being creative, thinking outside of the box. And most of what we have been programmed to believe looks down upon all of that, sees it as childish, and doesn't want to understand it. It almost feels like a lot of the rules or laws are created to keep the inner child in place, to keep them from going out, playing, exploring, and having fun. Because when the inner child gets in that mode, they are tapped into their infinite potential. So anything and everything is possible. Almost all of the brilliant ideas come from the inner child. When things flow so easily and effortlessly, that is you connecting and working with your inner child. That is you allowing your inner child to come through. Because the inner child is only focusing on what works, on what inspires joy, not only in self, but also in others. So when things are not flowing for you, especially when you're working on an idea, on an inspired idea, check yourself. Check if it is because the motive behind working on this idea has shifted into proving your worth, or proving others wrong, or accomplishing something other than just the pleasure of enjoying the experience of creating. Because when the motives change to that, that's when you start losing that connection with the inner child, because the inner child doesn't get that, doesn't understand that. So already we're getting a sneak peek into maybe what is creating this dissonance between you and your inner child, this miscommunication or lack of communication between you and your inner child. But I definitely feel like your inner child doesn't care so much about pace, because they know that everything that needs to get done, everything that is truly of value will get done. And it will get done at the perfect time. And that they don't need to chase, they don't need to force or push for things to happen, because things will happen. When they need to take action, they will feel inspired to do so. The Eight of Wands in reverse is also giving me this feeling of leaning back a little, taking a step back, not feeling this need to constantly be taking action. I feel like your inner child is not of the belief that in order to accomplish something, in order to get somewhere, they need to be taking constant action. I feel like your inner child understands that yes, sometimes action is important, especially when it's inspired action, like when you genuinely feel the impulse to do something. But excessive action, all that does is create fatigue. All that does is create frustration. All that does is create impatience. Because when we don't get what we want when we think we should get it, or at the time that we think it's meant to come, then we feel like something has been taken away from us, or something is being kept away from us. And your inner child knows that that's not the case, that there is a perfect time and perfect place for everything. The phrase too much of something is not good. I feel like your inner child kind of understands that. Like, more doesn't mean better. So sometimes it's good to take action, but other times it's also good just to step back, just to let it be. You know, it's kind of having that understanding of what is in your control and what isn't. Yeah, your inner child is very aware of what they are good at and what they are not so good at. And what I mean by that is what is in their power. So they work with what is in their power, and everything else, they let the experts of that handle it. So they let universe or momentum handle it. Yeah, because the Eight of Wands can also speak about momentum. So your inner child knows how to start the momentum of something, and it's through an idea, it's through a desire, it's through that inspired action. And once they have got that momentum going, then they let it go. It's like pushing a boulder down a hill. You don't keep rolling that boulder down the hill. You let the boulder do its own thing. You let gravity do its own thing. And so your inner child knows when to let go. And if some of you struggle with that, you struggle with control, you struggle with knowing when to let go, or maybe you have an awareness when it's time to step back, but you have trouble doing that, then that is what your inner child is kind of not meeting eye to eye with you. Okay, but I am going to move now into the other cards. So I wanted to pull out a set of 2 cards to find out what is it that your inner child is struggling with, but I feel like we already kind of have an idea. So maybe we'll get more detailed information. Oh, okay, so 2 cards fell out, and okay, I am going to take them. I was debating whether to take them or not, because I'm also going to pull out a clarifying card. So it ended up being a set of 3 cards instead of a set of 2 cards. So we have gratitude to clarify. Oh, let me give you a better close-up. Okay. And I also want to pull out a mini chakra card just to see, or if there's an energy blockage, where is it at? Okay, so we have the 3rd eye chakra, and that's so interesting because when I was connecting with the energy of this group, I felt a lot of pressure in the center of my forehead between my eyebrows, where the 3rd eye chakra is said to be. So I don't necessarily feel like there is an energy blockage in your 3rd eye chakra, but I do feel like your current perspective or perception is keeping you from seeing how things could be, or keeping you, because we do have the World card here, it's kind of keeping you from seeing the bigger picture, because the 3rd eye chakra is all about clarity, seeing through the illusions. Yeah, and with the gratitude card over here, I don't know why, but I feel like the following message might be frustrating to hear for some, but I do feel like maybe there is a bit more focus on what isn't working out, or what hasn't worked out, the lack of, or how long something is taking. And this is not allowing for you to see what is working out for you, or what has worked out for you, or how the pace of something is actually benefiting you in some way. Yeah, I feel like with the 3rd eye chakra being here, there is something that you are not seeing that can help you a lot, because your vision is focused on something else that isn't helping you at all. At least it isn't helping to motivate you, it isn't helping to inspire you or to empower you. And this is not about ignoring your current reality, sweeping the problems under the rug. This is more about if there is a problem, allowing your perspective to shift so that we won't be focusing so much on the problem and more on the solution. Because this world, this reality is all about contrast. So if there is a problem, there is a solution. Yeah, so with the Eight of Wands in reverse, I feel like your inner child struggles the most when they do not see the world the way you see it. Because they are focused on the solution, they are focused on the path of least resistance, while you could be focusing on the most challenging route, on the dead ends, or on all the work that it will take to get to that certain outcome. Because with the World card being here, the World card speaks about accomplishments, completion, coming full circle. It's also a card of acceptance, a card of belonging, a card of coming home or feeling at home. So what I'm sensing with the World card is there's no sense of satisfaction and fulfillment until we have accomplished something. There is no sense of gratitude or appreciation until we have reached the finish line, until we have completed the project. It's like, it goes back to that analogy of the journey and the destination. So gratitude, appreciation, fulfillment, joy, satisfaction, all of that comes at the end. Because I can't be happy now. Nope. Happiness is at the end of the road. And your inner child is saying, no, it isn't. We can experience happiness now. Why are you holding out on yourself? Why are you doing that? We do have the Page of Wands here. This page, I don't know why the word frisky came to mind. I'm not even quite sure what that word means, but if it's inappropriate, I apologize. But the Page of Wands is very, very active, very fiery, very passionate. It always likes to be on the go, go, go. This is an energy that likes to explore, likes to travel, likes to go from one place to the other, which is a very beautiful energy. But I feel like when the Page of Wands is a bit out of alignment, it can tend to focus on instant gratification, or it can tend to never feel quite fulfilled because there's always this feeling of something better out there. And so it never truly allows themselves to bask in what is happening at the moment. Soak in the accomplishments. Yeah, I feel like the Page of Wands is very reminiscent of that energy of the more I do, more, the better I will feel at the end. But it's like it never ends. It's just this constant repetition of action without ever truly feeling that sense of fulfillment, of wholeness, of completeness. And so your inner child, they are showing up as the Eight of Wands, whether it's in reverse, upright, it's still the Eight of Wands showing up in your spread. So your inner child appreciates action. Like, they don't mind being a go-getter. They don't mind dreaming big. They don't mind having aspirations and wanting for more. Like, your inner child doesn't mind that. They're all about that, because remember, your inner child is infinite potential. Yet they would appreciate it if they could really savor the experiences along the way. Like, the world is reminding me of that phrase, the world is your oyster. And I feel like that's what your inner child believes in. The world is their oyster. So, okay, this message just came to mind. For your inner child, they have all the time in the world. You have all the time in the world. And so, why not enjoy the time that you have? Why not seek out that which inspires happiness? Why not be happy now? Why hold out on yourself? Why work for an end that will never be truly reached through this mindset? And so I feel like your inner child is struggling with the notion of always being on the go, 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 of needing to accomplish something, of needing to reach some type of ending or completion in order to feel what they could have felt all along. Because there could be happiness in the progress. There could be joy in the journey. The world literally has all the suits of the deck, all of them. And so I see the world as literally representing fulfillment. There is no lack of here in the world card. Everything that you need, you have. And this is not representing so much material possessions, but it's more signifying that all that you need, all that you desire, you already have within. It goes back to that message of not needing to prove yourself because you are already worthy. You are already deserving of. So if there is a lack of self-worth, your inner child is, kind of struggling with that. If you believe that you need to do something in order to merit being here, or merit what you desire, or merit acknowledgement or love or acceptance, then your inner child is struggling with that, because your inner child looks at you and themselves differently. Your inner child doesn't see anything wrong with themselves, so they accept themselves fully. And what I get from the image in the gratitude card, you see we have like this darkness and how the bird is choosing to fly above that darkness. So it goes back to that message of perspective. It's like, yes, we acknowledge that there are things that we don't like and we don't want to experience or continue experiencing. We acknowledge what is happening right now, but we are choosing not to sink in it. We are choosing to rise above it by focusing on that which we do want, on that which makes flying above this easier. So it's not about finding ways in which to make this darkness go away or fighting against it, because all that is doing is putting more focus on that which you don't want and giving more power to that. It's more about letting this darkness know that they have no power over you by you removing your interest from it. And I know that sounds very is it simple-minded? But it's like negative thoughts, unwanted thoughts. If we choose to focus on them by trying to fight against them, push them down, trying to decipher them, why did they come about? What do they mean? What does that mean about me? Then the more those unwanted or negative thoughts will come into focus, and the more it will feel like they're thinking us instead of us thinking them. So the key is not to push them away or fight against them, but rather to remove our attention away from them by focusing on something that is pleasant for us, by focusing on something that grounds us. So focusing on things that you are grateful for, that you truly appreciate, that remind you of who you are and what you stand for. And it takes practice to create a new mindset, a new belief system. It takes practice. It's just like any other skill. So it's not going to happen overnight. And so there is this underlying message of not being hard on yourself. It's not necessarily not expecting too much of yourself, because that makes it feel like you can't deliver, because you can deliver. But it's like, you're not gonna force someone to do 100 push-ups when they have never done a single push-up in their life. That's just unfair. So don't set harsh expectations for yourself. Take it one step at a time and enjoy your progress. It's okay to enjoy your progress. You don't need a final outcome to know that you did well. You are already doing well. I feel like that's what the third eye chakra is also referring to. Seeing yourself in a new light and seeing your progress in a new light, and not seeing yourself as incomplete or as broken, because you're not. I'm going to now pull out some cards to get more advice and or guidance on how to best assist your inner child. Okay, so we have horse with passion. Horse is the confident embodiment of our unconstrained psyche. She carries the essential energy needed to traverse mountains. With freedom in sight, Horse charges forward passionately and full of vitality. She embraces her wild, untamed spirit, eager to bath in the brilliant sun and cover herself with earth. She faces challenges with confidence, regal and majestic no matter the environment. Horse models self-trust. Walk, trot, or canter when horse gallops, join stride, and run with her. I really love this last sentence. Walk, trot, or canter when horse gallops, join stride, and run with her. Again, pacing, pace. There's no one pace that is right. All are valid. So remember that inspired action we were talking about? Yeah. When you feel inspired to go for it, go for it. Don't hold yourself back. When you feel inspired to take it slow, take it slow. That doesn't mean that you're lazy or that you're doing something wrong or that you're missing out on something. It just means that you're following your inner guidance. It just means that you're not forcing for things to happen because you know that you feeling inspired to slow down could be your inner child's way of letting you know, hey, you've done all that you needed to do, all that was in your power. Now it's time to take a step back because it's the universe time to come through. It's time to let momentum do its thing. And I know this is more easier said than done, but I feel like your inner child is also recommending that whenever you do face something that you perceive as a challenge, don't see it as the world being against you or the universe being against you or this being a sign that things aren't going to work out for you or that you are meant for something. See it as an opportunity to learn more about yourself. Because it is through challenges that we get smart and witty and imaginative. And your inner child wants for you to recognize the scope of your imagination, of your creativity, of your wit, and of your desire to live. Yeah, so work with your passion, with your fire. Don't use it against yourself. Let it be a reminder that you are limitless and that if there is a calling to explore something new, it's because there is something new to explore. So don't allow yourself to be tamed by self-limited beliefs or misconceptions, other people's limitations or what society thinks should be or should be the best way to achieve something or experience something. Do what feels right to you and ignites that passion. Yeah, because this is a free horse. This is a wild horse. This horse has no rider. They go where the wind takes them, where they desire to go. So with the message horse model self-trust, I feel like your inner child is asking for you to trust yourself, to trust them. Your passion, excitement, enthusiasm for life isn't a flaw, isn't a fault. It is who you are. So you, as mentioned previously, you wanting for something, you desiring for something or desiring for more. Okay. It's not you being ungrateful. It's just you knowing and acknowledging that the world is your oyster, that there is so much to experience. So it's okay to feel that yearning and that longing for more. It's okay to acknowledge that and accept that and know that there's nothing wrong with that. And it's also okay to acknowledge the fire within you, that passion and how that fire can fluctuate. Sometimes it can feel like a rush, like a need to run. And sometimes it might feel more like just this desire to take a walk around the block. Like the fluctuation of your passion, there's nothing wrong with it. And I feel like your inner child is saying, trust more in that. Trust that those fluctuations are guiding you and informing you. Yeah, and your inner child is saying the best way to assist me or to help strengthen this connection between you and I is by embracing your untamed spirit. The horse didn't come into this world believing that they needed a rider to know where to go or when to run or when to rest or when to take it slow. No, they came into this world knowing that they would decide for themselves. So don't let anyone choose for you when you can choose for yourself. Okay, I do want to pull out a clarifier. Okay, so 2 cards fall out, and we have mystery and we have kindreds. And they did fall out in reverse. With mystery being in reverse, I feel like this is a message of embracing the unknown. It's not your job or your responsibility to figure out when something is going to happen, with who it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. Leave that to the universe. Leave that to alignment. All that you are being asked to do, or your inner child is asking for you to do, is just live. Allow yourself to live in accordance to you and in alignment with your inner being, with your inner knowing, with those pure impulses that you feel when you are excited about going somewhere or doing something or meeting someone. Yeah, because with the Kindred's card showing up in reverse, I feel like there is a message of allowing for things to fall into place. Kindred speaks about people that you resonate with at a deep soul level. People who are seeing and experiencing the world as you are. So in terms to connections and relationships, I feel like your inner child is advising you to not get so caught up in seeking these types of connections and or relationships, or in finding out how and when they will come to be or with who. Because the seeking and the chasing is just another way of us expressing how fearful or how doubtful we are that this won't happen. It's another way of us trying to control or have control over the situation. And we know when we are trying to control a situation because we feel anxious about it. We feel worried about it, or we're constantly thinking about it or overthinking it. And that's no fun. And so your inner child is saying, this is the perfect opportunity to practice stepping back, releasing control or releasing the hold so that it come to be naturally, organically, as it was meant to. And I know there's a lot of general pick a card readings on YouTube about how and when you will meet your soulmate. So, engaging with that isn't bad if it is getting you excited and eager and motivated about your journey and about all the beautiful connections that you are going to experience. Yet if it isn't, if all it's doing is causing more doubt or raising more questions or getting you to overthink or overanalyze, then once again, it's best to take a break from that. Because remember, once again, it's not about the destination. It's about enjoying the journey, the process, the unfoldment of what is to come and will come to be. So trust that you know everything that you need to know, and that if there is more to know, the information will come to you. It will come to you. You won't need to force it out of someone or something. It will just be. Also, because the World card is here, as well as the third eye chakra, if there is a belief that in order to feel that coming home or that sense of belonging or acceptance, you need to come into union with someone or have a specific connection or relationships, your inner child is saying that is you holding out on yourself again. Because yes, it's true that we can feel at home with someone or with others, but we don't have to wait for a specific person, relationship, or connection in order to feel at home. We can start feeling that sense of acceptance right now by being at home within ourselves, by coming more and more into acceptance of who we are. Yeah, because you've heard of that expression, home is where the heart is. It isn't a place, it isn't a person, home is you. So it is easier to see and realize who is in alignment with us when we are in alignment with ourselves. And it's easier for our soulmates to recognize us when we are allowing ourselves to show up. Because who they recognize is your soul. That is who they feel a connection with, your soul. Hence the word soulmate. Yeah, so when it comes to these connections, there is no need to chase. There is no need to seek. There is no need to change ourselves, who we truly are. Yeah, and I feel like that's the other message your inner child wants to convey. You will be accepted for who you are. You don't need to change who you are at the core in order to be accepted. You don't. And this might sound a bit harsh, but why try to seek the approval of those who are not even in connection with who they truly are, or who are just following the crowd because they don't even know what they want or what they stand for. So it's okay to stand out. It's okay to be you. It's okay to not conform. It's okay to see things differently. The less we start focusing on the crowd that demands too much from us or demands all the wrong thing from us, then the more we can give attention to those who are willing to hear us out and get to know us and offer space for us to simply be. There's a lot of messages that is coming through with this Kindred card in reverse, but if you are currently trying to manifest a specific person or a specific situation, your inner child is saying that you can definitely manifest this, yet trying to manifest a specific person or situation is limiting yourself. Because I feel like your inner child is saying, I am you. I know what you want and you desire, and I have a higher perspective. So I not only know what you currently desire, but I also know a little bit more than you. I am aware of that which you want that you are currently not aware of. So trust in me, trust in universe and your higher self that we will help deliver exactly that which you desire, and let go of the specifics. So instead of focusing on the specifics, just focus on what you want to feel or what you want to experience. And we will deliver exactly that to you. It could be through the person that you were trying to specifically manifest or the situation, or it could be through another person or another situation. But trust that what you desire will be given to you. Yeah, because most of the time what we desire or are trying to call in is an experience. And we often assume that the experience we want can only happen with a specific person or in a specific situation. And that's us seeing things through a narrow vision. And so instead of asking for the experience, we ask for the specific person or the specific situation. So in other words, be open. With the world being here and the third eye chakra, allow yourself to be a bit more general. Have a broader perspective, meaning don't be so specific that you limit yourself. Yeah, and the last message that is coming to mind, which can sound a bit blunt, don't be too keen on cutting people off or jumping to conclusions or assumptions of people. Yeah, so if there is an opportunity to see someone in a new light or see someone for who they truly are without judgment, then don't hold yourself back from doing that. Yeah, because the feeling I get with the horse is of running away. And so cutting away with something or cutting connection with someone could oftentimes be a form of running away rather than a form of moving on or letting go, solving the issue. Yeah, and you can know if that is the case if you feel like you keep bumping into the same type of people, or you keep having the same type of relationships or the same experiences in your relationships. Yeah, because when we run away from something, it just keeps coming up. But, that's not always the case. So use your discernment. And because I know there's some situations where it's just best to cut connection or create distance, because with the Kindred's card being in reverse, I do get the feeling that you are going to bump into a lot of people who are going to not be into the same things that you are into, who might be quite different from you. And this might put you off, but I feel like there's something to learn from these differences. And I do get the feeling that a lot of your deep and meaningful connections will be with people who are quite different from you. So some connections are worthwhile to stick around and see them in a new light and allow yourself to be open to what is being shown to you. And the Eight of Wands actually makes me think of travel, something foreign, something different. Also the Page of Wands. So yeah, just a simple reminder that different isn't bad. Yeah, but those are all the messages I am seeing with these cards. So now I am going to move into the last segment of this reading. So for this segment, I offer space for you to receive a direct message from your inner child. And if you feel called to ask a question, then you can do so. Hopefully you'll receive a direct answer. in the messages that come through for you guys. But before I start pulling out cards, please take a moment to consider the 3 items we have here on the table, since it is the item that calls out to you that will have a message for you. So of course, if more than one item calls out to you, that is perfectly fine. It might simply mean that there is more than one message that you need to hear at this moment. Okay, but starting off, for item 1, we have this fluorite crystal. For item 2, we have this white feather. And for item 3, we have this butterfly decoration. Whoops. Okay, so I will give you a moment to choose your item or items. And I will begin with item number 1. Okay, so message from their inner child. Okay, those are too many cards, so I'm going to put them back and shuffle one more time. Oh yeah, this is a homemade deck that contains quotes from the animated series Adventure Time. Okay, so we have, I lack the imagination to think outside my collective programming. I can only see the world as it is. And this was said by the character Almo. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, my intention is to leave these messages open for your interpretation, yet if a message or an interpretation comes to mind, then I will share it with you guys. And so I do feel called to mention that I feel this message is a belief, thought, or narrative that you might be holding on to that is not serving you. So if you relate to this, I feel like your inner child is coming through to say this is what is creating dissonance between you and I, because I have all the imagination in the world. Or this could be your inner child's way of saying, even if I see the world as it is, I can still see the beauty in it. I can still create something beautiful with it. Okay. I'm gonna see if, okay. So I feel like this is the message for you guys. I'm gonna take that one. And we have, it has cost me much, but I have learned lemon need not squeeze lemon to survive. And this was said by Soft Lemon Grab. This message is speaking about competition and how there is no need for it. Okay, but now I'm going to pull out a card from the Love and Magic Oracle deck. And we have, if you are uncertain, know this is okay. Trust the answer will come in due time and you will know exactly what to do. Now for those who chose item number 2, the white feather, what message does your inner child have for you? Those are too many cards. Too many cards. One card, please. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, whatever cards fall out next, I will take them. Okay, so this one. So we have, people make mistakes. It's part of growing up, and you never really stop growing. And this was said by the character Duke of Nuts. And now I'm going to pull out a card for you guys. Procrastination simply means you are not energetically ready. Don't push. You will get what you need done when you are ready, and it will be effortless. Okay, so now moving on to item number 3. Oh, this card flipped over. So I'm going to take these 3 cards that flipped over. You don't need a mirror to look good. You're beautiful on the inside. And this was said by the character Finn. We also have, I don't think there are bad people. I think good people do bad stuff sometimes, and that's bad. But if you just do it once, that's a mistake. And that's not bad, I think. And this was said by the character Marceline. And lastly, we have, I'm exactly where I need to be. And this was said by the character Finn. So, see, and the last message for you guys is, you already created what you want. It's waiting for you. Focus until you feel better, lighter, and then you believe, and then you know. And then we have a symbol of the third eye chakra. So if you feel called to meditate, to silence your mind or clear your mind, follow that calling, because it might be your inner child's or your inner being's, your higher self's way of nudging you to go within in order to see that all that you desire, it's on its way. Okay, but these are all the messages we have for you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around until the very end, and thanks to your inner child for allowing me to connect to deliver these messages to you. I hope I did your inner child justice. But if you are new to this channel and you want to stick around for more readings with me, Kim, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in my website, and the link to my website can be found in the description box down below. Yeah, but that is all for now. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day or night. And until the next moment, bye-bye. Hola seekers who chose Group 2, the Rainbow in the Stars. Bienvenidos to your reading. If you are interested to know how this reading is going to unfold, then I do recommend for you to listen to the intro if you haven't done so already, because it is there where I go over everything we are going to cover in this reading. Okay, but before I pull out the cards, I would like to share with you a message that came to mind when connecting with the energy of this group, which was follow your true joy. So I feel like your inner child wants to remind you and to reassure you that it is okay to do things just for fun. And just for you. Not everything that you do has to be about reaching some kind of goal or obtaining a specific outcome or receiving some form of acknowledgement or recognition. It doesn't have to be about growth, progress, healing, work, career, life purpose. You could do something for the simple pleasure of doing it. That's it. The word hobby keeps coming to mind. Oh, okay, I get it. If you have been feeling pressure to make a career, a profession out of a hobby or monetize a skill that you have, I feel like your inner child is saying you don't have to do anything that you don't feel called to do or that you don't want to do. Your hobby can be just for you. You don't have to share it with the rest of the world. You don't have to make money out of it. It doesn't have to become a career. It doesn't have to become work if that's not what you want it to become or to be. Yeah, I just feel like your inner child doesn't want you to feel pressured to do something that you don't want to do. And if you do want to turn a hobby into a career, into a profession, or monetize it, like if that's what you feel called to do, if that excites you, if the idea of it brings you true joy, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know that it is okay to allow yourself to feel joy and happiness and ease. Never feel guilty or shame about feeling happy, because that's your natural state of being. So since it is your natural state of being, there is nothing that you have to do in order to get there. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to be worthy of it, because it is who you are. So it's more about allowing yourself to be who you are. Yeah, because I feel like there's this belief that we need to get somewhere, be somewhere, do something in order to be happy, in order to merit the happiness. But no, happiness is wherever you are, because it is who you are. Okay, but now I'm going to move into the cards. And the first tarot card I'm going to pull out will be to help us get a better idea as to what the true essence of your inner child is. And this is to get to know your inner child a little bit more, find out what they're all about so that we have a clear idea as to what they're not about. So let's see. Oh, okay. So we have the Two of Swords in reverse. It's interesting that this card fell out in reverse because Group 1's card also fell out in reverse. And so I'm getting a very similar vibe in which I feel like this card is giving us a sneak peek into what your inner child is currently struggling with. So it literally is giving us insight as to what they are and are not about. So the Two of Swords is a card that denotes indecision, feeling like you don't have enough clarity to make a final decision, or it can denote an inability or a lack of desire to see and or acknowledge the truth. So with this card showing up in reverse, I feel like your inner child is a personality that prefers to follow their own intuition, their own gut feeling, their own inner guidance, rather than follow what everyone else is doing or take the practical route or follow other people's advice. Yeah, because with this person being blindfolded, I feel like it's expressing that this is someone who is not using their physical eyes in order to see, but rather their inner eye. They're using all of their other senses to get all the information that they need in order to move forward. And this person is holding two swords. Swords are associated with the element of air, and air is associated with the realm of communication, the mind, information. And now looking at this image, it almost feels like this person is using the swords as antennas. So your inner child is not at all impulsive. They like to take action only when they feel called to do so. So in other words, your inner child likes to take inspired action. Very much like Group 1, this is someone who is in no rush, in no hurry. So I wouldn't say that your inner child likes to take their time, because I don't feel like they perceive time or pacing in the same way that we would, because for them it's more about when it feels good to take action. So there is no concern or worry about missing out, or about being too early, or about being too late. Because your inner child understands that as long as they are following their inner compass, they will always be where they are meant to be. So their only job, per se, is to hear and adhere to the calling. Which is why we have someone who is blindfolded. Because sight distractions aren't getting in the way. They're all ears. They're listening. They're paying attention. So you guys did choose a rainbow, and rainbows make me think of authenticity. So your inner child is not preoccupied with following the crowd or being a part of the crowd or getting on the bandwagon or doing what other people think is right. They are only concerned about doing right by them. They are only concerned about staying true to who they are by following those natural impulses. And what I mean by impulses is those like intuitive nudges one gets when they are in the receptive mode, when they are not overthinking, when they are not worrying, when they are not up in their head, or when they are in their natural state. An example that I can give you is, receiving this impulse to turn on the radio. And you don't second guess it, you don't overthink it, you just do it. And the minute that you turn on the radio, your favorite song starts playing. And you know it's a confirmation, you know it's a sign, you know it's a message. Or you're driving and you reach an intersection and you feel an impulse to turn right when you usually go straight ahead. And you follow that impulse. and down the road you realize that turning right just saved you from getting stuck in traffic. Those are the natural impulses we are referring to. So if you have ever thought of yourself as being indecisive, or other people have labeled you as an indecisive person, your inner child wants for you to not attach to these labels, not to think of yourself in this way, because you are not indecisive. The reason why it takes you time to make a decision is because your inner being, your inner child, is calling you to take a moment and listen to your inner guidance, your inner compass. They are nudging you to not pay so much attention or mind to what other people are saying you should do, or what other people think is right or best for you, but rather to go within and feel how to move forward and when to move forward. So if there are moments in which you don't feel like taking any action, like you genuinely just don't feel inspired to do so, it's not due to fear, it's not due to doubt, or other people telling you to take it slow, but it's more coming from this inner feeling that right now it's not the time to make any moves, then know that that is your inner guidance speaking to you. I feel like there is a misconception about time, how fast or slow something should be. Like, we don't really have a great understanding about timing. So because we don't have a great understanding about it, we assume. And sometimes, due to our assumptions, we can become hasty, or we can feel stuck. So if you feel like you have like a personal struggle or difficulty with timing or understanding when's the right time, I feel like your inner child, they want to offer this new perspective that it's not so much about timing, but it's more about when it feels right. So with the Two of Swords being in reverse, I feel like they're saying, don't overthink it, just feel it. If something doesn't feel right, it's because it's not the right time. You don't have to overthink it. If something feels right, it's because it's the perfect time. You don't have to overthink it. So that's why it's important to listen to oneself and pay attention to how one is feeling, because sometimes our feelings can get muddled up, especially if we are paying too much attention to others or we're picking up on the energy of others. So it's important to note that first feeling that comes about, because sometimes people can talk us out of things, or they can project their own fears or limited beliefs onto us. So it's important to pay attention when that happens. It's important to discern what is of us and what is coming from others or from external things. And I feel like that's one of the things that your inner child struggles with, because the vibe I'm getting from the Two of Swords in reverse is that some of you might give too much attention or focus to what other people say, what other people feel about the things that you are concerned about or debating about or thinking about. It's like your focus is outwards instead of inwards. And that creates a lot of confusion, because it almost feels like your inner child is trying to guide you, is trying to show you, because your inner child is always paying attention. That's the vibe I get from the Two of Swords. It's like they're always aware, they're always listening, they're always paying attention and tuning in. They are constantly on the receptive mode. So they are always eager, willing, and wanting to share with you what they know, what they have picked up on. They are wanting to guide you, but in order to guide you, you also need to be tuned in with self, because your inner child is a part of who you are. It is an aspect of you. You can see your inner child as your inner being, the aspect of you that is the closest or most connected to your highest self. Yeah, so I feel like your inner child struggles with the idea of not allowing yourself to be, of not following your inner guidance, your intuition, your inner calling. And they struggle the most when you look to others for advice. And it's not to say that reaching for help or asking for advice is something bad, because it isn't. Yet it's important to remember that advice is simply that. It's advice. It's not what is or what should be. It's just something to consider. It's just something there to offer you a new perspective. Yet, if it is guiding you farther and farther and farther away from your inner knowing, then it's best to step away from that advice. Oh, what is that? A little net. Yeah, so if there is a belief that others know more about you, or that others know what's best for you and you don't, I feel like that belief is something that your inner child is struggling with. Because you are capable of making your own decisions, and you are capable of knowing what is right for you and what isn't. And if there is ever a decision that leads to something that you are not happy with, or that you do not want, your inner child doesn't want you to beat yourself up about that, because that in itself, it's very valuable. It's not you misdirecting yourself. On the contrary, it's you directing yourself closer and closer to that which you do want. Because when we are not so clear about what we want, the best thing that can bring us clarity is life experience, is experiencing what we don't want. Because only in knowing what we don't want do we have more certainty and clarity as to what we do want. And I know that might sound a bit sucky, because none of us want to experience something that we don't want. But if you think about it, it's only through experience that we can truly get it, that we can truly understand. Because you can read about stuff, you can listen to people and their life experiences, and we can nod our heads in agreement and kind of get the gist of it and think that we get it. But nothing is truly understood until we experience it firsthand, until we get a taste of it. You know, it's kind of like a cake. You're looking at a cake and it looks delicious, and other people are telling you it doesn't taste good. And it's people that you trust, it's people that you have faith in, but the cake still looks so good. And that curiosity is never going to go away until you yourself taste the cake and experience firsthand how undelicious that cake actually is. So I feel like your inner child also struggles whenever you beat yourself about your decision making, because they don't see that as a waste of time. They don't see that as failure. They actually see it as getting closer and closer to the desired outcome. They actually see that as growth. They actually see that as progress, as learning. I don't know, maybe some of you might need to hear this because it did come up. So I feel like your inner child doesn't want for you to condemn yourself about any choices that you have made in the past that you feel have led you in the wrong direction. Because your inner child doesn't hold any grudges against you. They don't resent you for it. On the contrary, they have so much love and appreciation for you. And they understand you. They know where you are coming from. They get you. And so if you hold any resentment, grudges, or anger towards yourself, or even shame, I feel like your inner child wishes, hopes, wants for you to forgive yourself. And they know that you will. So if you feel disconnected from your inner child, it's not that your inner child is keeping themselves away from you. They are there, they are here, ready to welcome you whenever you want to and are ready to be welcomed. The other thing I get from your inner child is that they are quite communicative, but not in the way of being very vocal. I feel like they are more of only communicating when it's necessary or when they feel called to do so. This is an energy that prefers to listen and to observe and to take in. And when they do have something to say, they express what they have to say in a very unique way. So your inner child might communicate with you through feeling, through emotion, through sensation, through intuitive hits and nudges. They might communicate with you through symbols. And what I'm also getting, it's like a deep knowing. A knowing that comes with this feeling of certainty, of peace. Because the vibe this card is exuding is that of peace, of calm, Yeah, but I am now going to move into the other cards. So I am going to pull out a tarot card and then a clarifier, and these will help us get an idea as to what is it that your inner child is struggling with. I know we already kind of spoke about it, but maybe we'll get more information. What is it that your inner child is currently struggling with? Those are too many cards. I'm going to put it back in the deck. Oh, perfect. So we have the Ace of Wands. And to clarify, oh, okay. So we have Union. And I do want to pull out a homemade mini chakra card to see where the energy is currently stuck, or which energy center your inner child is currently struggling to connect with. So we have the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is associated with feminine energy and with the element of water. I don't know why. I always think of the sacral chakra as being associated with fire, but it's actually associated with water, which makes sense, feminine energy. But this is an energy center that deals with passion, with creativity, pleasure, and enjoyment. And it's interesting because we have the Ace of Wands, which is a card that denotes new passion, excitement, enthusiasm, action, a creative spark. Okay, so we were talking about inspired action with the Two of Wands in reverse. So I do feel like your inner child communicates with you through creative ideas, through these impulses, these nudges to take inspired action. So they struggle a lot when you dismiss these ideas that come out of nowhere, that inspire excitement, joy, enthusiasm within you. Like whenever you get an idea or an impulse to do something that gets you really excited, gets you really happy, and then you dismiss it or you just disregard it, you put it on the side, that's a real bummer for your inner child. Because that's their way of communicating with you. That's their way of offering you guidance. So it's a real bummer for them when you distrust yourself in this way. When you place more trust on other people rather than on you. Because remember, your inner child is a part of you. Because with this Union card here, the image is reminding me of reaching out to others, asking others for advice. And I'm noticing how we have like this wreath here, these vines, and there is a vine growing around this wand. So I feel like your inner child is wanting for you to have more faith and trust in yourself and in your creative energy and in your ability to create your own path, to create the experiences you want to live. The Union card is also reminding me of inner union. So this could also be expressing how your inner child is trying to reach out to you through these ideas, through these creative sparks, through these nudges. So if you feel a disconnect with your inner child, then give yourself a moment to consider whether you have been either suffocating your creativity, disregarding your ideas, choosing the more practical path over the creative path. And we literally have a wand in the Ace of Wands card. So wands make me think of magic, your inner magic. If you have been doubting your inner magic, if you have been doubting your own intuition, if you have been doubting your own potential, your own talents, your own creative energy, then all this doubt, all this dismissing of who you are has been creating this disconnect with your inner child. And it's not so much that you are disconnected from your inner child, it's more like your inner child is there for you, but by doing all of these things, you are not acknowledging the presence of your inner child. Because the presence of your inner child is in all of this. Yeah, rainbows also make me think of imagination, of daydreaming, of childlike wonder, of hope and faith, creativity. So I feel like your inner child wants for you to tap into your creative energy by allowing yourself to imagine, to dream, do something for fun, and to believe in your ability to create something beautiful or to make things happen for yourself. Life doesn't happen to you is the message that your inner child wants to convey. So when something beautiful and magical happens to you, believe that you created that because you did. Believe that you made that happen, or you allowed for that to happen because you did. When you allow yourself to be, when you are not resisting who you are and you're going with the flow, wonderful and magical things happen. The Ace of Wands also speaks about initiative. Yeah, so I feel like if you have a belief that life happens to you, or that you are bound to a certain fate or to a certain destiny, your inner child wants for you to know that you are an initiator. You are a leader. Even if there aren't people who are following what you are doing or who are doing as you do, that doesn't mean that you are not a leader, because you could be a leader of your own life. And that's what your inner child wants for you to remember, that you are a leader of your own life, that you can lead your own lifestyle. Yeah, so I get this vibe of not selling yourself short and not undermining your potential or undermining what you bring to the table. Because this Union card is making me think of co-creation. You are constantly co-creating with the universe and co-creating with others as well. So never forget that you can be an active participant in your life through your choices and your decisions. And there is this interpretation that is coming to mind about productivity and action. I feel like if there is a belief that constant action leads to productivity, like you always need to be doing something in order to be productive, your inner child wants for you to be more mindful of that belief, because like sometimes less is more. So the more effort we put into something won't necessarily result in a better outcome. So you not taking action, or you not working, or you not doing something doesn't mean that you're not being productive. On the contrary, it could very well be you being the most productive. You know, because sometimes the more we do, the more resistance we're creating. So oftentimes, the best way to get something going, the best way to be productive is to take a step back, is to let go. It's to allow momentum to do its thing. You can look at it this way. Inaction is also action. So you not doing something could very well be a way of you doing something that is productive. So never force anything, because I feel like your inner child is reminding you that forcing for things to happen or forcing yourself to do something that you clearly are not feeling like doing or are not inspired to do, have no inclination to do it, can simply lead to frustration and stress and disappointment and discouragement. So follow your own flow. And aces always speak of new beginnings, and the way that I'm seeing this Union card is like an old version of you reaching out to a new version of you, or one aspect of you reaching out to another aspect of you. And with the rainbows being here, I am being reminded of how we are all multidimensional beings, of how we all have different aspects to us. And so your inner child wishes for you to acknowledge all these different aspects of who you are and how you are continuously evolving, growing, and changing. And so I feel like your inner child struggles whenever you see yourself as a two-dimensional being, or as being single-faceted, or whenever you limit yourself to one label or one identity, because they want for you to know that it is okay to change. They want for you to know that it is okay to evolve. They want for you to know that it is okay to feel various different things And it is okay to reach out for something better or to want more. It is okay to get out of your comfort zone. It is okay to try something new. So if something used to work out for you that no longer works out for you, that is fine. You're not doing something wrong. It just means that you're growing out of the old and growing into the new. If you used to like something that you no longer like, that is perfectly fine. If you agree with something now that you used to disagree with, that is perfectly fine. There is a whole life to live. Your inner child is not seeking for you to remain in a box. They are eager and wanting for you to explore, to get out of the box when you feel it's time to do so, when it feels natural to you. Because change doesn't happen overnight. Change happens gradually. So if you struggle with change, I feel like that is something that your inner child struggles with, because they are very open and receptive to change, because they know that it is through change that they can embrace more and more aspects of who they are. It is through exploring and adventuring that they can get more connected to the different layers that make all of who you are. But now I want to pull out some cards to get some advice and guidance on how to best assist your inner child with these things that they are struggling with. So I'm going to pull out an oracle card, and then I'm going to pull out a clarifying card. So we have the Puma with action. And the message, Puma comes from a long line of cats notorious for their inclination towards sudden, aggressive action. At times, this may be necessary, but she reminds us to be mindful of this propensity, encouraging us to take heed before acting. Haste in and of itself can lead to dire consequences. Puma encourages us to be patient and reflect before taking action. In doing so, we avoid unsavory consequences. Her greatest wish is for us to remain intensely focused before pouncing. Yeah. Okay, so we have been speaking about inspired action, so I definitely feel like that is how your inner child comes through for you. That is what your inner child resonates the most with. So action for the sake of action, your inner child does not encourage that. They do not encourage the notion of pace or measuring your achievements or accomplishments or worth or potential or life in terms to pacing or timing. The sacral chakra is connected with feelings, with our emotions. So your inner child wants for you to do something because it feels good to do it, because it aligns with who you are. Not because there is a fear of missing out, not because there is a fear of being left behind, not because there is a fear of not doing enough, because you are doing enough. And you will never miss out if you are following your inner guidance, if you are doing what feels right, what feels good to you in the moment, what is in alignment with you. You will never miss out because you will always find yourself being at the right place at the right time. And things will happen to you in a way that is going to feel very magical, very synchronistic, very divine. And they want you to know that once you get in the flow, things start happening for you. They start happening. You don't need to push for things to happen. You don't need to effort your way into things. You don't need to force things to happen for you, because they simply will. Like the right things, the things that are in alignment with you will unfold for you in a very natural, beautiful, and effortless way. And we do have potential in reverse, and we also have good fortune. Yeah, with potential being in reverse, I get the feeling that a lot of you undermine your potential, undermine your ability to create beautiful things, undermine your skills, undermine your ability to improve. Or with potential being in reverse, there could be a lack of self-trust. Because we do have the good fortune here, and this card, once again, it reminds me of being at the right place at the right time. The good fortune card is reminding me of manifestations. Manifesting doesn't mean creating something out of thin air, like waving a wand and making something appear out of nowhere. Manifesting is more about aligning with that which you desire. It's kind of like a rendezvous. How can I better explain this? Let's take the example of a 4-leaf clover. The 4-leaf clover is there in the field. It's already existing. You manifesting a 4-leaf clover is you allowing yourself to be guided towards the 4-leaf clover. So in other words, most of what you desire is already out there. So it's not about creating it because it has already been created. It's more about you coming into alignment with it. It's more about you allowing yourself to be guided towards it, or allowing yourself to bump into it or meet with it halfway. Oh, that's why we have this union card, because the feeling, even with the 2 swords in the 2 of swords card, I was getting this feeling of magnets, magnetizing. And so it's sort of like allowing yourself to be magnetically pulled to that which you desire by following that inner guidance, by trusting that you know what you want and that you are guiding yourself closer and closer to it. Which is why we got so many messages about action. Because most of us think that in order to have what we want, we need to take more and more action. We need to make it happen for us. But it's not about doing more. It's about doing what feels right. So with the potential card being in reverse, it gives me this feeling of allowing yourself to be surprised. Allowing yourself to embrace the unexpected. Because things are unfolding for you. Things are happening as you go, as you allow them to be, allow them to flow. Which is why there is that message of never missing out. Because there will always be an opportunity. As long as you want it, as long as you're open to it, universe will always find a way to make it happen for you. There will always be other opportunities. It's sort of that message, like if it's meant to be, it will be. So trust that it will be. Because if you're still pulled towards it, if you still feel this desire for it, it's because it's still possible. So I feel like your inner child wants for you to practice more the art of allowing, the art of following your inner guidance, of taking inspired action, of knowing that even when you're not doing anything, you're still doing something. You're allowing for things to happen, for things to unfold. And that most of your life, all that you have lived, all your experiences has been you creating. So remember, it is through our life experiences that we get more clarity as to what we do want. So all those experiences that you have lived has been you creating and getting closer and closer to that which you desire. Which goes back to that message of you don't have to do more. Because you have already done enough. You have done more than enough. All that you need to do now is allow. If there is a new desire, if there is something new to create, there will be a new life experience. Yeah, and I feel like that's why we have the potential card in reverse, because, you know, if it were upright, I would say, oh, this is a seed that has been planted and has already rooted. So all that we're waiting for it is for it to, and it has already even sprouted. So we're just waiting it to fully grow and bloom. But it being in reverse, this could be you discovering a new desire. This could be you getting more clarity about what it is that you do want. So once again, you know, allow yourself to experience new things, especially if you are unclear as to what you want. You know, we do have the Two of Swords here. If there is that lack of clarity, then maybe at this moment what you are being called to is life experiences so that you can gain that clarity. You gaining that clarity is you creating, you manifesting, you calling in and attracting what you want. And once you have done that, all you're going to feel called to do is to be on the receptive mode, is to be in that state of allowing, which is when you might feel this call to slow down, or you might experience more of this inspired action, more of these impulses. Yeah, so you're constantly creating. It's not something that happens in the moment that you sit down or that you decide to create. You are a creator by nature. You experiencing, you living, you feeling, that's you creating. And the good fortune is also reminding me of allowing yourself to be happy in the moment, in the here and now. With the wand being here, if there is a belief that you need to obtain something, have something, get somewhere, do something in order to merit this happiness, I feel like your inner child is struggling with that belief, because they believe that happiness can happen at any given moment, because they don't see happiness as something that is obtained, but rather something that just is. So never feel shame for feeling happy, never feel guilt for feeling joy, or for ease, for peace. Never feel shame or guilt about your good fortune, because that creates the belief or the sentiment that you are not deserving of it. Oh, and whenever you do follow an impulse or you take inspired action and it leads somewhere good, even if it's something as simple as stumbling upon a 4-leaf clover or a $1 bill on the floor, or a quarter or a penny, or bumping into someone who is super nice and super kind, or whatever it is, acknowledge it. Acknowledge it, because acknowledgement is another way of being receptive, of being open, of stating, this is the kind of flow I want to be in, where things are happening seamlessly, where I am stumbling upon pleasant things, where I am coming into alignment with experiences that inspire joy, happiness, and excitement within me. So acknowledge all the good, even if it's something that you might perceive as small. Yeah, because that's you co-creating with the universe. That's you kind of like being in a meeting with the universe and saying, oh, you know what? I like that. I didn't like that so much. In our next project, in our next adventure, in our next experience, can we include all of that? And can we tune that one down a bit and have more of that? Yeah, so your focus, your acknowledgement is super, super powerful. And that's exactly what wands represent. They represent focus. Wands are there to help us channel our magic, our energy. So your focus helps to channel your creative energy. So what do you want more of? What do you want to experience more of? What do you want to create more of? Your focus will determine that. So practice on mastering your focus. Practice focusing on that which you do desire. And the key word here is practice. So if it's challenging at first, please don't beat yourself up about that, because you are practicing. You are learning. Give yourself a chance. We are literally rainbows. We have access to a spectrum of emotions. So if our focus goes to something that we don't want, it's okay, because you have the ability and the capability to redirect your focus back onto something that you do desire. So give yourself a break. Don't be too hard on yourself, and try not to discourage yourself by placing unnecessary and disempowering labels on yourself, such as indecisive, an overthinker, or a warrior, or any of them, because labels are so limiting, and if we end up believing in them, they can really affect the way that we perceive ourselves and the way that we move about the world and relate to it. So never seek to disempower yourself. Seek to empower yourself and to remind yourself of who you are, which is an infinite being, a creator. Okay, but now I'm going to move into the last segment of this reading. So in this segment, I offer space for you to receive a direct message from your inner child. And if you feel called to ask a question, then you can definitely do so. Hopefully, you'll receive a direct answer in the messages that come through for you guys. So before I start pulling out messages, I will ask of you to please consider the 3 items that we have here on the table, because the item that calls out to you will be the one that has a message for you. So starting off, for item number 1, we have this fluorite crystal. For item number 2, we have this butterfly decoration. And for item number 3, we have this white feather. So of course, if more than one item calls out to you, then that is perfectly fine. It might simply mean that there is more than one message that you need to hear at this moment. So don't limit yourself, just follow your intuition, follow that calling, and now I will give you a moment to choose. Okay, so I will now start off with item number 1. So I will first pull out a card from this homemade deck that has quotes from the animated series Adventure Time. Oh, okay, so these cards flipped over and we have, "You're a doer, not a listener. You learn with your hands and heart, not your head." And this was said by the character Flannel. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, the intention here is to leave these messages open for your interpretation, because they are meant to be direct messages for you guys. But if an interpretation or a message comes to mind, then I will definitely share it with you guys. And the first thing that came to mind here was the phrase life experience. Yeah. So we were talking about how sometimes it is through experience that we learn or come to understand or get that clarity that we seek. And I feel like this message here is further confirmation of that. Okay? But we also have, "You're getting all hung up on imaginary problems. You gotta focus on what's real, man." And this was said by the character Jake. And the last message is, "I lack the imagination to think outside my collective programming. I can only see the world as it is." And this was said by the character Almo. Okay, and now I am going to pull out one card from the Love and Magic Oracle deck. And this will be the last message for those who chose the fluorite crystal. And we have, "It's important to get fresh air daily. Get outside, look up, move around in it, and breathe deep." Oh, look, we have another rainbow here. Oh, you know, your inner child could definitely come through the most when you're outside, because they could communicate with you through nature or natural manifestations such as rainbows or like a change in weather. Like the clouds parting or something like that. Or you could feel the most connected with your inner child when you are out in nature or when you are around animals. Yeah, there we have it. And now I'm going to move on to the butterfly. So, oh, okay, this one flipped over. So we have, "It has cost me much, but I have learned a lemon need not squeeze lemon to survive." And this was said by the character Soft Lemon Grab. So this is speaking about competition. There is no need to compete nor compare yourself to others, because there is room for everyone to shine and to thrive. Okay, I feel like pulling out one more card. So I'm going to shuffle one more time. Oh, so several cards fell out. I'm going to put them back in and shuffle one more time. Maybe, I feel like this one wants to come out. So we have, "To live life, you need problems. If you get everything you want the minute you want it, then what's the point of living?" And this was said by the character Jake. And once again, this is reminding me of the phrase life experience and of how knowing what we don't want gives us more clarity about what we do want. Yeah, but okay, there we have it. And now I'm going to pull out an oracle card. Oh, this one fell out fast. And we have, everyone is emitting a vibrational signal. Shift your vibration rather than words you are offering. Then you have true control of what you are attracting. So now I am going to pull out messages for those who chose the white feather. Ooh. So all these cards flew out, and I actually want to take this card that fell out of frame, and it says, I'm free now, Flannel, to do all whatevs I ever wanted, but all I think about is my old life. And this was said by the character Lemon Hope. Interesting. Okay, and now I'm going to pull out an oracle card, which will be the last message of this reading. And we have, what has happened is old news. Nothing is stagnant and everything moves forward. Revel in the knowing that you are always creating new news. I think this is the first time this card has appeared in a general reading. And it goes hand in hand with this message. So this was not a coincidence, and I feel like your inner child wants to point that out as well, that there's no such thing as coincidences. Yeah, so if there is something that you guys are struggling to move on from or direct your focus away from, I feel like this is encouragement from your inner child that the past doesn't have to be your present, nor does it have to become your future. Remember, change is constant, it is always happening, but it happens with more ease when we allow for it to be. So if there's something of your past that you are not happy with, your inner child is saying, it's okay, because you don't have to create that anymore. It doesn't have to be part of your reality anymore. We can create something better. We can create something different. And we will. We will. Your past does not define you, nor does it have to define you. Oh, I do want to point out that, depending on what item or object you were called to, those could be symbols that your inner child uses to communicate these very exact messages or similar messages to you on the day-to-day. Yeah, but those are all the messages we have for you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around until the very end, and thanks to your inner child for assisting me with delivering these messages to you. I hope I did your inner child justice. If you enjoyed this reading, and if you feel called to do so, then please leave a like or a comment. If you are new to this channel and you want to stick around for more readings with me, Kim, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in my website, and the link to my website can be found in the description box down below. Thank you so much for watching until the very end, and thanks to all of you who took a moment to watch the advertisements. That is one way to support me and to support this channel, so if you did, I truly appreciate it. Yeah, but that is all for now. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day or night, depending on when you're watching this video, and until the next moment, bye bye! Hola seekers who chose group 3, the rocket in the stars, bienvenidos to your reading. If you are interested to know how this reading is going to unfold, then I do recommend for you to listen to the intro if you haven't done so already, because it is there where I go over everything we are going to cover in this reading. Okay, but before I start pulling out the cards, I would like to share with you what I intuitively picked up on when connecting with the energy of this group, because I find it quite wholesome, quite endearing. So I did sense a presence, and I will be very honest, I'm not quite sure if it was your inner child's energy that I was picking up on, if it was your spirit guide, or if it was like the energy or the essence or the higher self of a loved one who is in the non-physical or currently incarnated in this lifetime. Yet whoever it is that came through, this being has so much love for you. They are loyal to you and they are supporting you every step of the way. They seem to be someone who never leaves your side. And actually, they do want you to know that they are always here with you, because that was a message that came to mind very clearly. I am here. I am still here. So know that you are always being looked after. Know that there's someone always by your side who is supporting you, who is cheering you on. Yeah, I feel like if you pray, this being listens to your prayers. If you have concerns or worries, this being hears you out when you are expressing these concerns or worries that you have. Yeah, I feel like this being is always trying to find ways to uplift you, to reassure you, to help you feel safe and supported and not alone. Yeah, I don't know. This energy is just so very sweet, so kind, so endearing, so supportive, very warm, and very innocent like as well. So it could be your inner child coming through, but I also feel it's like the inner being or the inner child of a loved one. Yeah, because the feeling I get from this energy is like that of a best friend, of a partner, a companion, someone who has been with you from the very beginning and will be with you till the end of ends. Oh, but there was another message that came to mind, which was stay in touch. So whoever this energy is, sorry, my sweat, whoever this energy is, they do want for you to stay in touch with them. It's like they don't want you to forget that you have support. Not only in the physical, but also in the non-physical. Yeah, so if there is anything that you do in order to help you connect or in order to help you feel closer to, let's say, your spirit guides or to your higher self or possibly even to your inner child, but for whatever reason you stop doing that, I do feel like they are advising you to start doing that again because that was a wonderful way to connect with them and to receive messages from them. Yeah, so an example that is coming to mind is writing, like journaling or automatic writing. Drawing could be another way that you could channel messages from them or feel more connected with your inner child. Maybe daydreaming could be another way as well, or meditating or stargazing. Yeah, but that was the last message that I picked up on. Stay in touch. So now I'm going to move into the cards, and the first tarot card that I am going to pull out will be in order to help us get a better idea as to what the true essence of your inner child is. And this is to help us get better acquainted with your inner child, know what they're all about, so we have a clear idea as to what they're not about. So, two cards fell out. Okay, interesting. And we have the Devil upright and the Ten of Swords in reverse. So first of all, the numbers are really calling out to me. So these could be important numbers for some of you guys. The number 15 and the number 10. Maybe you were born on that day or on the month of October. Maybe October 15th could be a significant day. But this is quite interesting because for the other two groups, I was noticing that for this section of the reading, we were getting information as to what the true essence of their inner child was, but we were also getting a sneak peek into what the inner child is currently struggling with. And I feel like it's the same case for this group. And this is the only group that got two cards for this section, by the way. And the other interesting thing is that the other two groups, their cards fell out in reverse, and you guys did get one reversal as well. So the first thing that came to mind when looking at the Devil card was the word attachment. So if you resonate with easily getting attached to people, environments, objects, then I do feel like your inner child could be struggling with certain attachment styles that you currently have. Yeah, because with the Ten of Swords in reverse, I feel like your inner child is a free soul. Oh. They are someone who is quite pure, very loving, very unconditional. And the vibe that I get from the devil is quite the contrary. It's very restrictive, it's very controlling, very conditional. So if you have trouble with letting go, with releasing control, then I feel like your inner child really struggles with that. Because I sense that the need to control comes from a fear of losing, a fear of being left behind, a fear of being abandoned, a fear of missing out, possibly even a fear of being misunderstood. So it is basically the fear that leads to these attachment styles or controlling tendencies that the inner child is truly affected by. Because in the Ten of Swords, we have this person who is impaled by all of these swords, and swords are associated with the mind, with thoughts. I also associate them with beliefs, narratives. So I feel like there are a lot of limiting beliefs that are keeping your inner child from truly expressing themselves. This energy is quite different from the other two groups, because in the other two groups, I was sensing that the inner child was struggling with a lot of beliefs that those who chose the group were currently holding on to. Yet, even though the inner child was struggling with what, let's say, the adult version of them believed in, they weren't really affected by it. Like, their inner child was very grounded in who they were and what they believed in and what was right for them. But for this group, I feel it's different in that the inner child does seem to be affected by some of the limiting beliefs that you are currently holding on to. Yeah, because the true essence of your inner child feels very sensitive. And not in the sense that they are fragile, but sensitive in that they can pick up on the slightest discomfort, shifts, or disalignment. So your inner child isn't tolerant. They are very aware of what does not feel right to them. So if something is off, they can sense it immediately. And so I apologize if there's a lot of background noise. My neighbors are out and about, and they have been out and about making so much noise for days. So I just decided to record, especially because it felt right to do so at the moment, even if there is noise. But yeah, I do apologize for that. But I was going to say that I feel like this sensitivity is actually a strength of your inner child, though it might often be seen as a weakness. Because oftentimes sensitivity is seen as a weakness. I feel it's because as a society we have become accustomed to tolerance, to not expressing what we truly feel, to suppressing and hiding and masking. So if you are very well aware that you are a sensitive individual, and if you ever were made to feel like there was something wrong with you because of your sensitivity, or you tend to see your sensitive nature as a weakness or as a flaw, I feel like your inner child really struggles with that, because this sensitivity is meant to actually be of assistance to you. It's actually the form in which your inner child connects with their inner guidance. So, for example, when something doesn't feel right, that is information for the inner child, for you, that is saying, hey, this is not in alignment with us. This is not for us. It is best if we do not engage with that or enable that even more. And when something does feel good, when it feels pleasant, when it feels peaceful, when it feels calm, that once again is information to you and to your inner child that this is in alignment with us. This is for us. This is safe. This is good. This is right. So, which is why I feel like your inner child, or the essence of your inner child, is very pure. And we actually have like two individuals dressed in white. And white, to me personally, denotes purity, clarity, peace, and ease. So I feel like the essence of your inner child is a very matter of fact. Like, if this doesn't feel good, then it doesn't feel good. It's a no. If this feels right, then it feels right, and it's a yes. And like, they don't overthink it. They don't second guess it. Like mentioned, they don't tolerate. And what I'm sensing with the Ten of Swords, it's like a lot of second guessing. So if you tend to overthink, if you tend to second guess, if you tend to doubt yourself, your own intuition, and your ability to choose what is best for you, I feel like that is what your inner child struggles with, because it creates this feeling like your inner child doesn't know. But in reality, your inner child is very in tune, very much well informed of what is right for them and what isn't. So I feel like this is about learning to trust yourself more as well. And I know that might sound difficult for some, because I do get this feeling with the Devil of the word manipulation came to mind, but the vibe I get is, well, yeah, it's sort of like manipulation, like brainwashing. So some of you could have in the past experienced something like being gaslighted, being made to believe, think, or feel that you didn't know what was best for you, or someone could have been really good at creating doubt within you by often questioning your choices, or often questioning your judgment, your feelings, your intuition. And that could have over time created uncertainty, insecurity, or possibly even fear. But I feel like your inner child wants for you to know that, yes, there might be all these insecurities, doubts, or fears, but that those things are at the surface. They're not at the core of who we are. At the core is our truth, and our truth is that we know what is best for us. It's like, I feel like your inner child wants to convey that they are not damaged, or that you are not damaged, that yes, there might be these fears, these insecurities, but they're not something that is rooted in you. I have heard of that phrase, what's it called? Deep-rooted wounds, or deep-rooted fears, deep-rooted issues or traumas. And if you have heard of that, or you've been told that you have that, or you resonate with that, I feel like your inner child wants for you to kind of reconsider that phrase within itself, because the vibe that I'm getting from it, it's like this belief or this idea of something being deep-rooted makes it seem like it's something that is more powerful than you. It's something that is going to take forever to heal, or it makes it feel like something is damaged or something is broken. But with the Devil card being here, it's like labeling something as deep-rooted gives this Devil more power, like more control over you and how you feel and how you think and how you interact with the world. Because I'm noticing how this Devil over here is looking towards this Ten of Swords. The feeling I get from the Devil card, it's like, as long as this Ten of Swords person doesn't know how powerful they are, as long as they keep thinking that I am more powerful, that I make them, that I control them, then I will always be in control. I will always be showing up. I will always be the one calling the shots. And so I feel like your inner child is gently advising. And I say gently because the essence of your inner child feels very gentle. It's not forceful, it's not pushy, it's not aggressive or abrasive. So I feel like your inner child is gently advising for you to kind of be mindful of the labels that you attach to, or attach to what you are dealing with or going through. Yeah, because these labels can kind of brainwash you into thinking certain ways that are not necessarily true, or kind of lead you towards disempowerment. Like the example that is coming to mind, and this is just an example to help kind of illustrate the message that is coming through, is someone who experiences certain sensations or feelings that they associate to anxiety. And so over time, after having felt these emotions or sensations, often they have come to label themselves as anxious people. And even though this might be helpful to them to help identify what is coming up for them, like it has also created limitation or restriction. Like it's sort of like a self-programming kind of thing where it has resulted in the person believing that that is a part of who they are, that they are an anxious person and that they can never get rid of that, even though it is very debilitating to them, even though if it's not empowering to them. It's like by labeling oneself as an anxious person, they become the anxiety rather than it being something that happens. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense. I just feel like there's certain ideas or labels that are disempowering rather than empowering the inner child. Because like I said, the essence of your inner child feels very much like a free soul. So this is an energy that like does not care for labels. And the other thing I get from the Ten of Swords is that your inner child is very loving. Like their state of being, their true essence is love. Like mentioned previously, they are unconditional. They are free of judgment. Yeah, I feel like your inner child would feel very uncomfortable in a situation where there was judgment or discrimination or injustice, because it's not in their nature. So if you tend to engage in like gossip, or if you grew up in an environment or a household that often tended to judge or discriminate or criticize a lot, I feel like that could really have affected your inner child. Like it could have resulted in your inner child retreating because they just did not want to at all associate and or feel into that energy. Like in other words, your inner child doesn't get hate. Like they don't understand it. They know it's out there, but they just don't get it because they see how much hurt it actually creates, how much pain. So if you tend to engage in criticism, if you are very self-critical, if you tend to judge yourself a lot, I feel like that's something that your inner child struggles with and really hurts the inner child, because they're all about love. They're all about connecting with the true essence of all living beings. And even though they choose to see the good in others, they are not blinded to the negative aspects or traits. Because remember, your inner child is very sensitive and they're non-tolerant. So yeah, they can see the good in others, they can see the true essence in others, but they won't be easily fooled. And so I guess it kind of hurts your inner child when you are aware of something that is not good for you, but you still go for it. Whenever you disregard your boundaries or allow for others to overstep your boundaries, like that affects your inner child because they don't understand why you would do that or allow for that to happen. And I mean, there could have been a point in your life where maybe you felt like you didn't have much of a choice. But I do feel like your inner child is saying, maybe that's how you felt in the past, but now we are at a point in our life where we better understand that we do have a choice and we have a say as to who enters our life and what is allowed and what isn't. So I feel like your inner child wants for you to start believing in yourself more, start trusting in yourself more, and valuing respect. Not only respect of self, but also respect for others. Because the other thing I'm getting from your inner child is this is someone who is full of love. This is someone who is love themselves. And so they understand that love isn't about attachment. Love isn't conditional. Love isn't about labels. Love isn't about chasing, taking, or giving. Love is simply about being. Your inner child feels that in love there is no lack, and so they don't see themselves as someone incomplete or as someone who needs someone else in order to be complete. In other words, they understand that love stems from within. It doesn't come from something external. And so as long as they are connected to themselves, as long as they are allowing themselves to be loved by allowing that energy to flow within them, by being accepting of it, they will always feel full and whole and complete and never alone. Which I feel that's why we got all those messages at the beginning, like, you are never alone. I am always here. I am always here with you. And so if you struggle with attachments because there is a fear of being alone, or there is a belief that it is only through others that one can feel love, then I feel like your inner child really struggles with those beliefs, because that is very limiting and it's very disempowering as well, because it's really giving all the power to others. You know, it's sort of like this feeling of, I cannot love myself. I cannot feel the love and be open to the love unless someone gives it to me. So know that you are a loving being. Know that you are a being of love, and that you are lovable, and that you don't need others' approval of you or others' acknowledgement of you in order to know that you are worthy, and that you are valuable, and that you matter, and that you are love. And this is not to say that relationships are not important and that receiving love from others is bad, because your inner child very much understands that relationships are important. But I feel like what is trying to be conveyed is that the relationship with self is also as important and as meaningful. So if you are prioritizing relationships with others more than your relationship with self, that's what your inner child is trying to point out. That is what is really like hurting the inner child, because the inner child is you. And so if you are putting others before your inner child, it makes your inner child feel like, I wouldn't say it makes them feel like they're not important, but that's kind of the vibe that's coming through. They hope for you to realize that you are important, and that your relationship with self is the most important relationship you will ever have. Because having a good relationship with self means that you have access to all the love in the entire universe. And when we have access to love, it is easier to be in that energy with others. It is easier to look away from the fear and the insecurities. So I feel like your inner child is saying, you just hope that you listen more to what uplifts you, to what empowers you, rather than to what frightens you, disempowers you, and creates doubt within you. Because that's not logic speaking to you. That's not reason speaking to you. That's just fear. That's just the devil. And the devil is never right. The devil is just always seeking to keep you in the dark. Yeah, so, pay attention to what stories you keep telling yourself and about yourself. Are they empowering you? Are they still keeping you stuck in the past? Are they still bringing up things that disempower you? If so, it's time to tell new stories, or it's time to remove the focus away from that, little by little. Because what we give focus to, we give power to. It's what we keep calling back into our lives. So there's no need to relive your past if the past was uncomfortable, by bringing it up over and over and over again. And I know sometimes it might feel like it's impossible to do because the memories surface up or something triggers us. But with the Ten of Swords in reverse, I feel like we're being told that it is possible. It might be difficult at first, but it is possible. And I know it's more easier said than done, but that's where practice comes through. A lot of practice. But I am going to pull out the other cards. And the first set of cards, which will be a set of 2 cards, will give us information as to what your inner child is currently struggling with, though I feel like we already kind of touched upon that. But let's see if we get more detailed information. So we have the Ace of Pentacles, and to clarify, we have Wisdom. Oh, okay. And I do want to pull out a homemade mini chakra card just to see where the energy is currently stuck, or what energy center maybe you're having some issues with. And we do have the third eye chakra. Yeah, so the third eye chakra speaks about clarity and intuition, seeing through the illusions. And the devil is all about illusions. Like I said, the devil loves to lie. And the devil is also really good at being very dramatic. Like the devil is an amazing storyteller, and they love to tell scary stories. So it's important to recognize the devil in our thoughts. And we do have the wisdom card, which reminds me of intellect, logic, the mind, thoughts. So with the Ace of Pentacles being here, I see the Ace of Pentacles as an offer. And I feel like these two cards are kind of insinuating when the devil offers you a thought, be careful not to engage with it. Maybe some of you struggle with discerning what is a thought coming from insecurity, fears, possibly even trauma, and what is a thought that is coming more from your inner guidance, your inner child, your intuition. I still have yet to pull out cards to get advice and guidance on how to assist your inner child with what they are struggling with, but I do feel like one way in which you can better discern what is coming from your intuition and what is coming more from fears is how you feel about it. If the thought, if the idea brings up an emotion that is not at all pleasant, then that is something that is not coming from your intuition or from your inner child. Because your inner child wouldn't give you a thought or an idea that would frighten you or that would negatively trigger you in some way. Because your inner child knows you. They know what you're about. They know who you are at the core. So they understand what actually inspire you versus what would keep you in fear. And I just get the feeling that your inner child is very soft-spoken. They are, like I said, they're very gentle. So whenever you get an idea, a thought, a vision, a daydream, or a dream that is very uplifting, that is very hopeful, please don't dismiss that, because that is your inner child coming through for you. That is your inner child doing their best to remind you of who you truly are and what you are deserving of. So if it feels too good to be true, don't dismiss it because it feels too good to be true, and know that you are deserving of the best. Know that you are deserving of good feelings. Know that you are deserving of safety, security, and peace. Because the Ace of Pentacles does speak about that. And you know, the devil is Capricorn energy, earth energy. So if you are seeking stability and security, I feel like your inner child wants for you to know that you can have that and you will have that, and that you're working towards that. And if you have trouble believing that, like if you feel like your reality thus far has validated or proven to you that you can't have that or that will never happen for you, I feel like your inner child wants to bring to attention what is it that you have been allowing into your life. Because they want for you to realize or to know that life isn't happening to you. It can feel that way if we forget that we are powerful beings, that we are creators, that we can call the shots. Or it can feel that way when we start letting insecurities, doubts, fears, past experiences control our current reality or control our vision of the future. So I feel like your inner child wants for you to take a moment and see what offers have you taken? What offers do you tend to lean towards to or consider more? Are they offers that are quite limiting? Are they offers that are very reminiscent, past experiences that keep on enforcing these self-limiting beliefs, or this feeling of lack, or this feeling of not being deserving of, or needing to prove your worth? Yeah, in other words, are you settling for less? Because if so, I feel like your inner child is saying you don't have to settle for less. You don't have to keep repeating a pattern that you don't like. It doesn't have to be that way. You know, we experience what we allow. And sometimes we can experience really, really good things, but the reason we don't experience more of it is because without realizing, we can tend to push it away. We can tend to block it by holding on to beliefs of not being deserving of it, or holding on to fears, you know, or giving more importance to the fears. Yeah, so with the wisdom card, I feel like it's in the way that you perceive things, or the way that you logically in quotations, think about things that might be keeping you from fully seeing the truth or following your intuition. Yeah, because the wisdom is reminding me of like something practical. And we spoke about that before, how the devil could be disguised as practical or logical thinking. So with the third eye chakra being here, I feel like you guys are very intuitive. You're very intuitive. That's why your inner child came through as sensitive, because those who are sensitive are often very in tune with their intuition. They know what's up. They can sense things that other people who are not that tapped into their own intuitive knowing can't sense or can't pick up on. So don't underestimate yourself. The word mother keeps coming to mind, mother figure or parental figure. And it's like a cooing voice that I wouldn't say hearing, but I'm like picking up on, like someone with a very motherly, almost overprotective tone coming through. And I feel like that's trying to describe how sometimes our fears or insecurities can disguise itself as protection. Like, I'm only pointing this out to protect you. I'm only suggesting this thought to keep you from getting hurt. But all it's doing is keeping you from pursuing your dreams, from trying something new, from living your life, from being yourself, your true authentic self. So if you had a very overprotective parental figure or caregiver in your life, maybe this dynamic is one that you have adopted and apply to your own relationship with your inner child or with self. And if so, I feel like that is being called to attention, because instead of this protecting you, all it's doing is creating this belief of like not being able to take care of yourself, not being able to do right by you. It's a bit debilitating and over-dependent, because the devil can speak about like codependency, and codependency can stem from a fear of being left behind, a fear of being abandoned, a fear of being alone. We become dependent on others to create that attachment, or we can help others become dependent on us to create that attachment. And with the bird being here, I feel like your inner child is saying your freedom isn't in the chains, in being chained or linked to something or someone. Your freedom is in your wings. So make use of them. Spread them wide and open and take flight. In other words, freedom. You have freedom. You have free will. Work with it. Don't hold back for a fear of losing, because you won't be losing anything. Nothing can really be lost. Endings are there for a reason. They're there to allow new beginnings. And the wisdom card is reminding me of infinite knowledge. I feel like your inner child wants for you to know that you are tapped into this infinite knowledge, that you are also wise and full of wisdom. So trust in you. I'm now going to pull out some cards to get some advice and guidance. Okay. I feel like this reading has been all over the place. I just get random messages, and I feel like I'm jumping back and forth. I have gotten a bit spacey throughout this reading, so maybe that's why. But we have Turtle with duality. Comfortable with both transitions, Turtle symbolizes new beginnings and endings. We just spoke about beginnings and endings. A wanderer by nature, he has learned the importance of duality. His slow yet steady pace is a reminder that life moves forward despite one's speed. Fast or slow, the world keeps spinning. Turtle teaches us to muster tenderness or toughness depending on the situation. In his presence, we are invited to remain close to earth, finding admiration for her fragility and strength. Yeah, I feel like this sentence is super important. Finding admiration for her fragility and strength. Yeah, I feel like your inner child wants for you to look at your sensitivity in a new light, one that empowers you, one that assists you and helps you along your journey. And then we have frog with cleansing, a fauna of both water and land. Frog is strongly associated with cleansing. She supports us in removing negativity from our life. She is a powerful guide when times call for emotional release. Her presence often indicates an opportunity to let go and detoxify. She encourages us to look carefully at how we spend our days in relationship to others and in matters of daily life. Frog inspires us to rid ourselves of old opinions, gaining strength to leap toward a new outlook. Yeah, with the Ace of Pentacles, once again, see what is being offered to you, what ideas, what thoughts, what beliefs are being offered to you. Okay, maybe this is a weird way of looking at it, but the thoughts that come to mind, maybe don't think so much of them as something that you're thinking, but more like you're an antenna and you're picking up on these thoughts. Like they're being offered to you, and you have a choice as to whether stay tuned or tune into another thought, or tune off completely. Maybe that will help with not attaching to the thoughts or the ideas that come about, or the memories or the triggers. Yeah, because I kept mentioning attachment at the beginning, so I feel like your inner child doesn't want for you to attach to these thoughts or these ideas that might be debilitating or are disempowering or create fear. They want for you to see them as options. And I know that's easier said than done, and I don't want to invalidate anything that you're going through, because of course I don't know what it's like because it's your personal experience, but I am myself fall into the habit of overthinking. And I have dealt with that for quite a while, and sometimes the thoughts can feel so real and so vivid. Yeah, one thing that has helped me is not attaching my identity or who I am with these thoughts or these ideas. Realizing that I do have a choice as to whether I keep entertaining them or I entertain something else that is more helpful to me. So yeah, you can see them as something that is being offered to you rather than something that is coming from you. Maybe that will help. But I want to pull out a clarifying card. Yeah, because the third eye chakra speaks about seeing things with a new perspective. And sometimes it's the way that we're seeing things or thinking about things that is quite limiting. And so it's not so much like the topic or the issue that is limiting, but it's the way that we are going about it, or the way that we are expressing it, the way that we are referring to it, the way that we are describing it that is quite limiting. So if we think about it in a new way, it can be helpful. It can be freeing. Okay, a clarifying card. Ooh, too many cards. I feel like this card is the card for you guys. Okay, so we have blind. Yeah, we were talking about the third eye chakra, and then we have blind. Okay, okay. So I know this might sound very silly, and maybe it might even be frustrating for some to hear, but it could be helpful if the focus is not so much on what is currently happening, if what is currently happening is disempowering in some way, or does not inspire joy or excitement within you. I often interpret the blind card as a refusal to see the truth, but this is more like you already know the truth. You already know what's happening in real time. You're aware of that. And maybe being so aware of it is keeping you stuck because it's only offering more ideas or thoughts of lack or fear or hopelessness. And so it's okay to look away from what is happening right now and focus on a better vision, a vision that inspires you, a vision that uplifts you, a vision that redirects your focus onto something that will assist you with creating something that you do want, because you are the creator of your reality. So as creators, what we focus on, we give power to. So don't focus on what is if what is isn't what you want, but focus on what you want to be. And that might help with you little by little releasing that which you don't want. And it's not so much releasing, but more like moving away from it. And of course, as mentioned previously, it does take practice, but it is possible, especially I'm seeing it with the Ace of Pentacles, to create a new reality if a new reality is what you desire. And we have a lot of green here with the turtle and the frog. And the color green is reminding me of the heart chakra, the heart space. And the heart chakra is associated with feelings, with emotions, with authenticity. And I often see the heart chakra as being the energy center where our inner child resides. So once again, I feel like focus on that which inspires joyful feelings. Focus on that gets you feeling good about your prospects, about your future, about yourself, even about where you are right now. You know, with the turtle being here, if pace is something that gets you worrying or overthinking, then, you know, don't pay so much attention to the pace of things, but rather pay more attention to the progress. You know, it's going back to finding a new perspective. So it's like seeing a plant grow. You know, it takes some time. A plant's growth takes time. If we focus on the timing or the pace, then we might become a little bit impatient or discouraged, you know, because it's been a week, it's been a month, and the flower hasn't fully bloomed. But if we focus on the progress, that might be a bit more encouraging. You know, the seed has rooted. Oh, it has sprouted. Oh, there's a leaf. Oh, there's a bud. Oh, it's starting to open. So then we see like things are happening. Oh, another example that is coming to mind, and this was brought to my attention by my sister, about the healing journey and how to know if you're progressing. Oftentimes we look to our life, our external reality, to kind of evaluate our progress. And that's how I kind of saw it as well. But my sister had a different perspective. She said, well, you can check on your progress by the way that you feel. How do you feel? If you feel better than you did a month ago, then you know you're making progress. If you feel better than you did a year ago, then you know you're making progress. And so when I gave myself a moment to really see my own journey from this new perspective, I realized that yes, there has been change and there has been progress, definitely. So sometimes we can get in the habit of seeing things from a perspective that disempowers us, because that's what we have become accustomed to. That's what we have maybe learned to do. And I feel like one of the things that can assist you is by, you know, trying to look at things from a more positive perspective, because this world is all about contrast. So if there's a negative perspective, there is a positive perspective. There has to be. And so it's about bringing your focus and your attention to that. And sometimes we look away from the empowering perspective because we think that doing so is childish, or it isn't logical, or it isn't practical. But I feel like your inner child is encouraging you to do so. You know, the practical mindset or the logical way of looking at things isn't always the right way, isn't always the most helpful way. It's just one way of looking at things, of thinking things through. So choose what works best for you. You know, even if it's not so practical, or it's not seen as practical by others or logical, because your inner child, all they want for you is to feel good. They want for you to know that it's okay to feel good, that it is okay to be okay, more than okay, and that you can feel that way, and you will. So release opinions, thoughts, beliefs that do not serve you. And know that you are moving forward despite whatever speed you are going at. And with the key term duality, yes, you are a being of light, but of course, as a human, we experience a lot of contrast. You know, you're a multi-dimensional being. So don't beat yourself about not being perfect or not being what you think perfection is, because you are an ever-evolving being. You know, that's why we have this message of endings and beginnings, because you will constantly be experiencing change. So there is no end to you per se. Yeah, and experiencing things that we don't want, or realizing things about ourselves that we are holding on to that we don't want anymore, just gives us more clarity about what we do want to experience and what we are about, what we do truly believe in and what we truly do desire. So as mentioned, you have more clarity about yourself, who you are in your journey than you know. All your life experiences have been offering more and more clarity to you. So I feel like your inner child just wants for you to trust in this clarity that you already have within, and to apply it into your life more and into your decisions. You don't have to repeat something that doesn't feel good. And I noticed we have a turtle, that moves slow, and then we have a frog that leaps. So if sometimes you want to take it slow, it's okay. If sometimes you feel a desire to take a leap of faith, then go for it. Go for it. Don't hold yourself back. Because the pace of something does not say anything about whether it is right or wrong. It's just the pace. It's just the way that it's moving. So sometimes we might want to take it slow, and sometimes we might want to take that leap, and it's okay. But those are all the messages I am seeing for you guys. So now I'm going to move into the last segment of this reading. So in this segment, I offer space for you to receive a direct message from your inner child. If you feel called to ask a question, then you can definitely do so. Hopefully you'll receive a direct answer to the messages that come through for you. If you hear screaming, my neighbors rented a jumper, so the kids are out and playing. They're having fun. So yeah. So before I pull out any cards, I will ask of you to please consider the 3 items that we have on the table, since the item that calls out to you will be the one that has a message for you. So if more than one item calls out to you, that is perfectly fine. It might simply signify that there is more than one message that you need to hear at this moment. So starting off, for item number 1 is the white feather. For item number 2, we have a fluorite crystal. And for item number 3, we have this butterfly decoration. Okay, so I will give you a moment to choose. And I will now pull out messages for those who chose the white feather. So this is a homemade deck that has quotes from the animated series Adventure Time. Oh, that was quick. And the first message for you guys is, people get built different. We don't need to figure it out. We just need to respect it. And this was said by the character Princess Bubblegum. Oh, I forgot to mention, my intention is to leave these messages open for your interpretation, since they are meant to be direct messages. But if an interpretation or an extra message comes to mind, I will share it with you guys, okay? And now I'm going to pull out a card from the Love and Magic Oracle deck. This is my first time filming when there's so much noise going on. So I'm curious as to how this video or this specific reading is going to turn out. But okay, we have time as a perceptual thing. When you are in your flow, time becomes irrelevant. You have all the time in the world. And we were speaking about time and how we can perceive it differently with the turtle card. Yeah, so you get to choose whether time is of the essence or not. You get to choose whether you measure your worth, your progress, your ability to do something or not do something, or go for something or not go for something based on time. It's up to you, because time doesn't have to limit you. And actually, this exact message, you have all the time in the world, came up for group 2. And all of the groups thus far had messages about time and pace. Yeah, so I feel like the inner child collectively just doesn't care for time. Like, they are beyond that. The inner child just cares more about doing what feels right for them. And they don't care much about fast or slow. They care about being in the moment. Okay, but now moving on to those who chose the fluorite crystal. Okay, and we have, my new prison is shame, and this was said by the tiny manticore. We also have, I'm air. I've been trapped in that bubble for so long I've forgotten who I am, but now I'm finally home. And this was said by the character Bubble, and this was literally a bubble. And this message reminded me so much of the message that came through with the wisdom card about spreading your wings and taking flight, finding relief in your freedom. You are free. You have always been free. You are a free soul. And the last message is, as long as I know the shape of my soul, I'll be all right. And this was said by the character Jake. Yeah, no one can tell you who to be but you. And your experiences don't shape you, but rather it's what you choose to make of those experiences. You choose how to shape you. It's you. Oh, okay. So we have, do something creative and play as often as you can. This will renew your energy. Yeah, I feel like this is advising you to do something just for the pleasure of it, just for fun, which is a message that also came up for the other two groups. Yeah, do something that is just for you. Don't do it to measure your worth or to measure progress or to compare yourself or to gain approval or acknowledgement. Yeah, so just get in the habit of doing something just for fun. Whether it's scribbling, doodling, writing, running, yelling, singing, dancing, playing basketball, whatever. Enjoy your free time. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy your time with your inner child by doing things that inspire joy within you. Yeah, especially when you have a lot going on in your head. I feel like that is good distraction. You know, oftentimes, and I have often delivered these messages, that distraction is a form of avoidance, but you know, it doesn't always have to be the case. Distraction can be good, especially if it's like healthy distraction, because it can redirect our focus when we are focusing on things that are negative or are discouraging or disempowering. Healthy distraction can help us get back to our baseline, can help ground us, or can help redirect our focus onto things that uplift us and encourage us. Yeah, so distraction isn't bad when you are working with it rather than using it as something that works against you. Okay, but now I'm going to pull out messages for those who chose the butterfly. Okay, and we have, all we have to do is take the path of least resistance. And this was said by the character Princess Bubblegum. Oh, okay, this message just came to mind. Things don't have to be hard. Life isn't just about struggle and hardship and sacrifice. Like mentioned, this world is all about contrast. So if there is a treacherous path, there is a path of least resistance. So I feel like society as a whole has this ingrained belief that success comes through hardship, or that something needs to be hard won in order to be worth it, in order to be valid. But I don't know. Does it have to be that way? Your worth and your value is not measured by how much you have tolerated, by how much you have put up with, by how much you have struggled, or by how much you have suffered. Your worth and your value is inherent. It isn't measured by something external from you. But now I'm just going to move on to the cards before I start ranting. Okay, good things are happening to you too. Remember this and know there is plenty for everyone. Okay, so these are all the messages we have for you guys. If you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around, and thanks to your inner child for allowing me to connect with them to deliver these messages to you. I appreciate it. I hope I did them justice. But yeah, if you're new to this channel and you want to stick around for more readings with me, Kim, then please do subscribe. I do offer personal readings. All the information is in my website, and the link to my website can be found in the description box down below. Once again, thank you so much for watching until the very end. Yeah, but that is all for now. Wishing you a wonderful rest of your day or night, depending on when you're watching this video. And until the next moment, bye-bye.